Welcome! My name is Saluun, and in this video I'm going to show you where to get housing decor from Alliance capitals. Small disclaimer, anything you see is still subject to change as it was recorded on the beta. And now, let's begin! Captain Lucy Ravshon can be found in the Trade District, who is the Stormwind Quartermaster. You will need Stormwind rep for almost all of these decor she sells. She is selling Earthen Storage Crate for 90 silver, this requires no rep. Alvin Fence costs 45 gold, requires friendly. Alvin Fence Post costs 67.5 and requires friendly. Stormwind Lampposts costs 90 gold and requires honored. Stormwind Large Wooden Table costs 90 as well and requires honored. Stormwind Keg Stand costs 135 and requires revered. Stormwind Trellis and Basin costs also 135 and requires revered. Stormwind Gazebo costs 225 and requires exalted. Stormwind Peddler's Cart costs also 225 and requires exalted. City Wanderer's Candle Holder costs 45 gold and will require you to have the quest I Take Candle completed. But be warned, when it says in the decor preview World quests, it actually means regular quests that are often part of quest chains. I'm not sure why they called it World quests here, but to be honest, it's quite confusing. I hope Blizzard will change that. Also, these should count retroactively, so if you have done them once before on your account, you won't have to do them again. Stormwind Weapon Rack costs 90 and you'll need to complete the Dawning of a New Day quest. Hooded Iron Lantern costs 135 and you will need to complete the Cobalt Candles quest. Westfall Woven Basket costs 180 and will require the Havard Tanks quest. The Northshire Barrow also costs 180 and will require the Report to Goldshire quest completed. Stormwind Wooden Table costs 270 gold and will require you to complete the Welcome to Stormwind quest. The Stormwind Arced Trellis costs also 270 and will require the Ending the Invasion quest completed. The Jewel Crafter's Tent costs 450 gold and will require you to complete the Paranoid Tiara quest. And the Stormwind Forge costs 900 gold and will require you to complete a Binding Contract quest. Solilo sells book decorations in the Mage District in Stormwind. As far as I know, these have no requirements, but as of now on the beta, these are in limited stock and they all cost 2000 gold each. First up, Tome of the Forsaken Resilience, Scribe's Working Notes, Tome of the Shadowforged Cunning, Tome of Janai Fate, Tome of Twilight Nihilism, and Open Tome of Twilight Nihilism. Second Chair Pardu has a quest that rewards furniture and it would suggest he unlocks afterwards as a vendor, as his title is Frederick's Fabulous Furniture, but on the beta currently he is not selling anything yet. According to the WoW Housing DB, he is going to sell 6 different items, one being the Meadery Storage Barrel, which is his quest reward. He will be also available in Orgrimmar and Dornogal. Dadric's Steel Shaper can be found between the Mystic Ward and the Commons in Ironforge. His wares will need certain achievements and Ironforge reputation. The Shadowforge Stone Chair costs 350 gold and requires the Blood in the Snow achievement. The Dark Iron Brazier costs 700 gold and will require Kings Under the Mountain achievement. The Dark Iron Expedition Tent costs 1200 gold and will require the Dark Iron Dwarfs quest completed. The Ironforge Fence Post costs 250 gold and will require Friendly with Ironforge. The Ironforge Fence costs 150 gold and requires Friendly as well. The Ornate Ironforge Bench costs 450 gold and requires Honored. The Ornate Ironforge Table costs 600 and requires Honored as well. And the Ornate Dwarven Wardrobe costs 1000 gold and requires Revered with Ironforge. Captain Stoneham, who is next to the Ironforge Flightmaster, sells the same items as Dietrich Steelshaper for reputation, so I'm going to skip him. Inge Brightview can be found in the Hall of Explorers. She sells only 2 decor that has no requirements. The small Ironforge bookcase costs 450 gold, and the Ironforge bookcase costs 700 gold. Samantha Buckley can be found in the starting area of Gilneas city. Only one of the items will have a requirement. Gilnean washing line costs 125 gold. Arched rose trellis costs 100. Gilnean bench costs 75. Gilnean stock costs 100. Gilnean wooden bed costs 75. And Gilnean celebration keg requires you to be a Worgen and have the Reclamation of Gilneas achievement completed. Ripley Kiefer is just outside Darnassus in Rut'theran village and sells 4 decor items, some requiring Gilneas wrap. Gilnean Stonewall costs 300 gold and requires Honored with Gilneas. Gilnean Noble Trellis costs 350 and requires Revered. Little Wolf Slough costs 450 and has no requirements. And Worgen's Chicken Coop costs 150 gold, no requirements. Lord Kendron sells these exact same items in Darnassus as well. If you want to go to Rut'theran village or Darnassus, you'll have to talk to Zidormi in Darkshore to send you back in time. Sage Whiteheart sells 2 items and can be found under the Shrine of 7 Stars. Surprisingly, he does not require reputation even though he is the August Celestial Quartermaster. The Golden Pandaren privacy screen costs 500 gold, and the Pandaren stone lamppost costs 300 gold. Pearl Barlow can be found near the Flightmaster in Boralus. She is selling 8 items which will require quests or achievements completed. Proudmoore Green Drape costs 300 war resources and will require the Pride of Kultiras achievement. Green Boralus Market Tent costs 375 war resources and requires the Stow and Go quest completed. Admiralty's Upholstered Chair costs 400 resources and requires Proudmoore's Parley quest. Tiragard Emblem costs 500 resources and requires the War Marches On quest. The Admiral's Bed costs 400 resources and requires the Allegiance of Kultiras quest completed. Tiragard Treasure Chest costs 650 and requires the Long Con achievement. Seaworthy Boralus Bar costs 800 and requires the quest My Brother's Keeper. And Old Salt's Fireplace costs also 800 resources and requires the achievement Come Sail Away. Provisioner Frey can be found in the Harbour Master's office in Boralus and sells 5 decor items and will require Proudmoore Admiralty reputation. The Boralus Fence Post costs 500 resources and requires Friendly. The Boralus Fence costs 100 and requires also Friendly. Boralus String Lights costs 75 and requires Honored. And the Tide Sage's Double Bookshelves costs 450 and requires Revered. And Tide Sage's bookcase costs 500 and requires Revered as well. Trader Kaorau is near the town hall in Stormshield. He is selling 8 decor items for quest completion requirements. Draionic Fence Post costs 100 gold and 300 Apaxis crystals and requires the Traitor's True Name quest completed. Draionic Fence costs 300 gold and 500 Apaxis crystals and also the Traitor's True Name quest. Hanging Draenethist Light costs 300 gold and 500 Apaxis crystals as well and requires the Dark Heart of Oshugan quest. The Draionic Forge costs 500 gold and 1000 Apaxis crystals and requires the Battle for Shatrath quest. The Draionic Wooden Table costs 500 gold and 1000 garrison resources and requires the Trial of Champions quest completed. The Darnassus lamppost costs also 500 gold and 1000 garrison resources and requires the Socrathar's Demise completed. Large Karabor fountain costs 800 gold and 2000 Apaxis crystals and requires the Defense of Karabor quest. And the Emblem of Naru's Blessing costs 2000 garrison resources and requires the Prophet's Final Message quest completed. Inside the town hall we have Shadow Sage Brokos selling 3 items, but they require Arakoa Outcast Wrap. Unfortunately, the preview on these are currently not working, so I can't show them off to you, and I have a suspicion they won't cost 10 gold each either. They will also be a combination of gold and Apaxis crystals if I had to guess. Also in the town hall we have Vindicator Nuram. He is selling 8 decor for Council of Exarchs Wrap. Darnassus Lantern costs 250 garrison resources and requires friendly. Spherical Droanic Topiary costs 250 resources and requires also friendly. Alodor Armory Rack costs 500 resources and requires honored. Small Karabor Fountain costs 500 resources and requires honored. Dawning Hope Mosaic costs 1000 resources and requires revered. Embroidered Embari Tent costs also 1000 and requires revered. Grand Ranith's Lamp costs 1500 resources and requires exalted. And the Shadow Moon Greenhouse costs also 1500 and requires exalted as well with the Council of Exarchs. And those were all the decor you can get from Alliance capitals. Unfortunately, I think the Horde ones are not implemented yet, as the Orgrimmar rep vendor has no decor, for example, so I'll make a video on the Horde ones once they're all in. Please stay tuned for more videos about Midnight Beta, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, catch you all next time!